All right, I think we're live now. So, good evening, everybody. Let me get some disclaimers out of the way. We'll get into the actual broadcast itself. We only got a few people here right now. 8 people, it looks like, joining in. 3 likes already. Well, thank you. We haven't even started. We got 3 likes already. So the disclaimers are that this is a weekly live broadcast, most of the time Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central. This is where I'm at. I do my best to respond to all of the chat that comes in during the live chat itself. So if you're watching after the fact, you leave a comment on the video. I haven't been very good at responding to comments lately, just too much going on. But if you have a question or something you need answered, this is probably the best place to do it because I respond to pretty much everything that comes through the live chat. Again, Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central, unless something comes up and gets in the way, which happens occasionally, but most of the time I'm here. The only things I ask, you can ask me anything you want to. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about. We can have friendly debates. That's all fine with me. But be polite, be family friendly. There's no reason to hate somebody over a difference of opinion. Don't start cussing anybody, any of those kinds of things. We'll have to kick you out. Otherwise, we're all good. All right, let's get into it. Now we got some comments coming in. Hey, Verna, good to see you. Yep, 6 people there. Well, now we're up to 20 already, so they were just waiting for us to get going. French Art Channel says bonjour. That's about the only French word I know, I think. But anyway, hello to you. French Art Channel, huh? I'm not. What's the difference between regular art and French art? I don't know. I'll have to check it out and find out, won't I? Let's see. Lisa, good to see you. Blessed with Pets, hello to you. Jesse Mills, good evening. Emergency Prep Guy from Idaho, good to see you. And we got Robin's Nest from Florida. And Owen Miller's here. I'm doing well, Owen. Hopefully you are too. Good to see you. Andrea, good to see you too. Let's see. And let's see. Lisa says, I had 5 new kits last Friday. Well, congratulations on that. Hopefully they're doing well. Raphael says, hey, Chris, I've been learning from you for years and never got the chance to comment or thank you. I will use this live to say thank you. I've learned so much from you. Well, thank you so much. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you for watching the videos. I'm glad that you do find them helpful. If there's something specific you're looking for, like I said, I'm not very good at responding to comments right now, but I do see the comments. So if comments come through with questions and things that, I'll shoot videos to try to answer some of those kinds of things if they're pretty common questions. So, leave a question or ask it in here. We'll get it answered right away. Sam, you're right on time. Yep, you absolutely are. Blessed with Pets says, I've been in the car since 6 a.m. and only got out once for lunch. Ooh, that's for a long day, huh? Sam says, hello from the sun. Yeah, feels like it here. It was 110 or 115 degree heat index today. It was all like right at 100 degrees, 98, 99, something like that. And with the heat index, it was 110 heat index. Katrina says, hey to everyone from Gilroy, California. Been super busy. Work harvesting quail and rabbits. Even canned some quail. I'm listening today from my phone, waiting for a free delivery of wood chips. Awesome. Can't go wrong with a free delivery of wood chips. I love wood chips as mulch. They're just fantastic. My problem I had with them is they break down and I can't get a constant supply of new wood chips. So I had to move away from them. But I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to using it at some point. They do work well. Let's see. Raphael says, I recently got into rabbits and came right back to your videos to educate myself. Well, awesome. I'm glad that they're there for you, and I'm glad you find them helpful. No, I don't have rabbits yet. Just too many things going on. I've been so busy. Recently, here's the thing that's been going on this week. Trying to track down a roofer to fix my house. I've got a leak. Well, a part of my roof that sits over the front porch is rotted out, basically, so it needs to be replaced and fixed. And I called a roofer. This has been going on for over a year now. I called a roofer. They came out. They looked at it, gave me an estimate. I said, okay, sounds good. Let's do it. Never heard from them again. They said they'd be by in 2 weeks. Never heard from them again. So called another roofer here recently. This has been a while back. Called another roofer here recently. They came out. They looked at it. They sent me a quote online. You go online, you approve or decline the quote. I approved it. Never heard from them. I called them back. They said they never got the notification that I approved the quote. I had to come in and pay and sign some paperwork. So this was Friday I talked to him. Let me grab a drink. So this is Friday I talked to him. So I said, well, you guys open on the weekend? They said, no. And I said, okay, it'll be probably Wednesday before I can get in there. And they said, okay, no problem. So Wednesday, I go there at my lunch break. The door's locked. Even though the sign says 9 to 5 on the door's locked. So I go there. I figure, well, maybe they're at lunch, whatever. So I go after work, shoot right over after work, left work just a little bit early to make sure I could get there before 5. Door's locked. So I called them today. They're open. They're going to be there. They waited on me. They're super nice people. Waited on me. I get there, and I get there to pay. They said, are you going to be paying by check? I said, credit card. And they said, well, let me check on something. They called somebody, make sure it was okay. It was okay, but there was going to be a 5% charge, a 5% up, fee to use a credit card instead of paying by check or by cash. That's like $50. So I was like, I think I'll wait till tomorrow. So now I got to go back tomorrow to pay them. I didn't have a checkbook on me. I mean, who carries checkbooks anymore? Anyway, that's my story for the week. So Blessed with Pets is going to Wyoming, huh? Well, have a fun trip. Hopefully it's a good one. Let's see, Lisa says, she's talking to Verna, but she says they're large. Your kits are large and you're new to this. I'm sure you're going to do great. Don't worry about it. Hey, there's Jasmine. Good to see you, Jasmine, from Crane, Missouri. Scrap 500 says, you're my inspiration for everything. I'm building a quail watering system at this very moment. Thank you. Oh, awesome. Thank you for the kind comments. I'm glad that, again, I'm glad you're finding videos helpful. I'm glad that you've found some things that you could use and you're getting good use out of it. All right. The French Art Channel says, I'm choking because I ate too fast. Yeah, that's happened to me once or twice. Let's see, Karen, I have a problem with my new egg layers eating their eggs. What should I do? I have rollout trays. They're reaching out and eating those too. Interesting. I have never really had that problem before. So I guess there are a couple of things that you could do. First of all, check their food and make sure you've got a high enough protein level. That's probably not the case, but that could be it. Where they start eating feathers or they start eating eggs or things like that, it could be a lack of protein and they're looking for a way to supplement it. So you want something that at least 20%. I like to go a lot higher than that myself. But if you're using something that's I'd say you could probably even get away with like 18, 19% should be fine. If it's much lower than that, if it's like 14% protein, that could be the reason why they're eating their eggs right now. There could be other things that are causing that too, a vitamin deficiency or something like that, but I don't think that that's really going to be the issue. So I think the best way to be able to take care of that, you could do a couple of things. One is find some big marbles, like shooter marbles, like you would play marbles with, the big ones, not the little tiny ones. Put those in their egg trays. They may mistake them for eggs, try to eat those. They won't be able to, and then they give up on it. If you could find some little ceramic eggs that are about the size and shape of a quail egg, that would work as well. I just don't know where you could find those, and marbles would probably be easier to come by. Try to make sure you get out there and collect eggs, as often as you can. Mine tend to lay in the evenings, so I would check them in the evenings and then again in the morning. Those are the things that I would do, and then hopefully you'll break them of that. But chances are it's some kind of, you're not letting them run out of food. Make sure that's the case too. Keep their feeders full all the time so they don't have to go looking for food somewhere else. Hopefully that takes care of it. I don't know. Maybe somebody else has got some really good ideas on how to take care of it as well. We'll see. I'm sure if we do, we'll get to it. Andy Rabbit says, hello from West Plains. Good to see you, Andy. Thanks for joining. Let's see. G. Michael says, since you're still looking for rabbits, will you be making any changes or upgrades to your rabbit hutch? Probably not. I don't know of any upgrades or anything I need to make to the rabbit hutch. I might move it. I'd like to move it out there right where my quail are, but I don't know that I will because it's awful big. I can't do it by myself. I need to get about 4 or 5 people together to help me move it. It wouldn't be a big job. It's just finding 4 or 5 people that will come over and help me move it. And like I said, it was 110-degree heat index today, so probably not going to find very many people that are going to come and give me a hand with it, but you never know. All right. Jasmine says, geez, oh, Pete, what a crazy runaround. Yeah, I know. It's all right, though. I mean, the company I'm using for my roofing, I had them put my gutters on years ago. Super nice people, good Christian people. So actually, I think they're Episcopalian, maybe. But either way, that's fine. They're Christians and good people. So I'm not too upset with them. Let's see. Larson Farm says, How do you notice that the quail get a lot less after they start laying? What? Oh, eat a lot less. How do you notice that the quail eat a lot less after they start laying? Oh, then you're changing it. Have you noticed? Okay, that makes more sense. Um, well, I mean, yeah, and to an extent. I mean, yes, they eat a lot more when they're growing. And then once they reach adulthood, which is when they start laying eggs, they are going to slow down just a little bit. But I haven't noticed a huge decrease in their eating once they started laying eggs. Maybe it's just something I haven't noticed, but it seems pretty consistent to me. Amy Rabbit says, I feel you there. It's getting harder to get anyone willing to do any work at all. Yeah, it is, but I don't know. Keep hearing that, but good grief, this is ridiculous. Blas Kaloka. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm probably getting it wrong. Says, how's your garden doing? Another garden update video anytime soon? I can do a garden update video. It's doing okay. It's not great this year. I didn't get compost this year. I should have done that. I do most every year, and I thought, well, I can get away with that one year. But it was so cold for so long, like cold and rainy early in the season. So everything got started really, really late, which means it stayed in pots longer than it should have, which, is a little bit of a downfall. And then it just got stupid hot and dry. So everything's like wilting during the day and then perking back up at night. It's starting to get there. We harvested our first tomato finally yesterday, and it was a paste tomato. It wasn't a beefsteak, but it was still a tomato. Wasn't very good, really. It's just a paste tomato. But it wasn't like what you want that first beefsteak, slicing tomato out of the garden to be. It wasn't that, so it wasn't real satisfying. But it was okay. We've got harvest of green beans. We need to harvest again. We've got more green beans. But doing it so far, being able to stay on top of the squash bugs. They've been out with a vengeance this year. So going out and checking for eggs on the bottom side of the leaves every day. Finding some, got to a point where I wasn't finding any squash bugs for a couple of days. And then today found 5 or 6. My wife actually found 5 or 6 of them and picked them off, put them in the soapy water, and found some eggs on the bottom of the sides of leaves. I will tell you something. This is something I've never had happen before. I always check my squash leaves for eggs, and I'll find squash bug eggs on them and, get them off there. But I've never had them lay eggs on anything but squash. This year I found them on my pepper plants, and I found them on my sweet potato vines. So they'll lay them in other places too. Anyway, so it's going okay. It's not a great garden. It's not my best garden ever, but it is what it is. Sometimes you have a bad year. Jasmine says, Chris, what all do you keep around for a rabbit medical kit? I have quite a bit, but for my pets and new goats. Interesting question. I really don't keep a whole lot around. I have some antibiotic ointment, and some bandages, I could use if I needed to. Make sure if you're going to use antibiotic ointment, you use one that does not include a painkiller, because painkillers can be toxic to rabbits. I keep some oil around for ear mites, spraying their ears to get rid of ear mites, and that's really about it. Anything more than that, you can, infant gas drops are okay to use if you have a rabbit with like some bloat, some gas problems. So I do have some of those on hand, but that's really about it. I don't keep a whole lot on hand because there's just not really that much that happens to them generally, and I don't worry about it too much, honestly. Probably should do a little bit better, but that's about it. That's about all I keep on hand. Tony from Toronto, good to see you. Raphael says, need more calcium to stop them from eating eggs. Crush up your eggshells and feed it to them, and it will help for the chickens eating eggs. It might. It's unlikely that it's a calcium deficiency that's causing them to eat eggs. It's just quail's calcium requirements are not that high, and if you give them too much calcium, they only need about 2%, 1.5 to 2% calcium in their diet. So as long as your feed has that much calcium in it, you're fine. If it doesn't and you need to add extra calcium, add it on the side. Do not mix it in with your feed. And like Raphael says, you can crush up the eggshells and add those back. But I would go with something besides eggshells if you're wanting to keep them from eating eggs. So I might go with crushed oyster shell or something like that. But put in a container on the side, they'll eat as much as they need of it. It could be a calcium deficiency, but it's just unlikely. And I think that's the first thing that most people jump to. If you put too much calcium in their diet, that can actually be almost as bad as not enough calcium. It can cause some bone problems, but more, it can also cause some issues with your hatch rates. If there's too much calcium in the diet, the eggshells are too thick, and the chicks have a hard time pipping and getting out of them. So it can cause your hatch rates to decrease if you have too much calcium. But check it. If you're below 1.5% calcium in your feed, then yeah, maybe you need to add some extra calcium. I kind of doubt that it's really a deficiency of any kind. It's probably just a habit. Once birds get in the habit of eating eggs, it's kind of hard to break them of that habit sometimes. It's just like dogs or anything else. But you can check all those things and see. But you may still have to do some extra things, like I talked about, collecting the eggs up, putting some fake eggs in there so they can't actually eat them and they break that habit. Hey, Whiskey Tango Farms is here. Says, hope everyone is doing well. I am. Hopefully you are too. Kim, when supplementing the barrage, when supplementing with barrage, do you feed them all of the plant? Grew it this year and did not realize it was such a huge plant. LOL. I don't know what that is. I got to look that up, see what it is. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that at all. It's also known as starflower, as an annual herb and flower plant family. Let's see real quick. Well, apparently it's very mineral rich. The leaves and the flowers are edible and are good for the bird. Yeah, you could. So I would feed the leaves and the flowers is what I'm seeing on that, but I'm not familiar with it. You may have to do some more research on it. That's something new to me. Where'd we go? Lexington says, I love Garlic Fest. Says Katrina, so delicious. Shout out from Monterey, California. You're so knowledgeable and love your show. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Gilroy Garlic Fest. I don't know. That sounds like a fun thing. I mean, who doesn't like garlic, right? Andy wants to know if I've thought about silver foxes. Yeah, I'm not against silver foxes at all. If I found a good, breeding set of silver, pedigree silver foxes, I'd go for it. I've had silver fox before. They're great rabbits. No reason not to have them. Yeah, Miss Kitty from hot Utah. It's hot everywhere right now. Man, it's hot. Starting to get acclimated to it. I actually took the day off work Tuesday. I did not get a video out this week because, well, just family stuff going on all weekend with the holiday. And then I took the day off Tuesday and I went fishing. So floated Sugar Creek in Pineville, Missouri. It was great. Tuesday, everybody was gone. All the people had, they camped. Everybody camped out and had fun all weekend long. And then they left Monday when, because they're all burnt out and they're done by that point. So Tuesday we had it to ourselves. We saw 4 other people, I think. There was one group of 4 people that went by, and that was it the whole day until we got down to the campground to the end of the float. But getting a little acclimated to the heat, it wasn't too bad. We stopped and swam quite a bit, and that helps, of course. But it really wasn't nearly as miserable as I thought it was going to be out there. Jasmine says, Chris, you can borrow my husband to help you move the rabbit hutch. People call him a tractor, LOL. Yeah, well, that would be nice. If he wants to drive to Joplin, have him do it. I will take the help. I appreciate it. It's not so much how heavy it is, really. It's big and awkward. I mean, it's heavy, but I could pick up, I can pick up half of it myself, probably. I haven't tried actually, but I should be able to. But it's really more about the shape. I mean, it's 4 legs. There's nothing. You pretty much got to have somebody on each leg, I think, to pick it up and carry it. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. There may be other ways to do it. Maybe something easier. But anyway. Oh no, Whiskey Tango Farms wants to know how my calendar picks are coming along. Yeah, I haven't even thought about. I've forgotten all about that. I need to get on it, don't I? When do they due? When do I need to get them done by? Remind me again. We'll see. They're not coming along right now, but I'll work on that. Karen says using 25% protein feed wild game bird starter. So wild game bird starter. Well, that should work. I don't know why it says wild game bird. That seems kind of weird, but that should work. That's 25%. Check the calcium levels in it. Make sure it's high enough. It probably is, like I said, 1.5, 2%, something like that. But chances are it's not an issue with your feed. It's just a habit the birds have gotten into, and you need to break them of the habit. That's really about all there is to it. Jasmine says the heat in Missouri has been insane for this early in the year. Garden is kind of sad. Need to succession plant and start planning for good fall crops. Yeah, indeed. And it's really, I'm kind of wondering too. It's a little bit, it seems like the seasons have been shifting. I've been saying this for a couple of years now. It does seem like the seasons have been shifting. It's getting warm a little bit earlier or a little bit later. I should say. Yeah, it's hot for this early in July, I guess. Not terribly, though. It's not that unusual that we get this hot in July. What's different about it is that it was so cool so long. It was almost June before I could plant things in the garden, which I'm usually planting in the beginning of May. So it was a month behind getting things planted out because it was so cold and so rainy. And then it just got hot. Then just summer hit and it got hot and dry, which is pretty normal. But it also seems like our frost date has been moving later. Like everything's shifted a little bit. So instead of, usually we're looking at 1st of May till about the middle towards end of October is our growing season. But it almost seems like it's now shifted a little bit. It's more like the 1st of June to the middle of November. So, who knows? Maybe we got a little bit more time to get things in. But, our first frost date is around October 15th. So you're only looking at, what is that, about 120 days or so? You're going to have to, if you're going to, there are things that will grow after the frost, carrots and most of your brassicas and things like that. It's hard to get them to start right now with as hot as it is, but it's a good time to go ahead and get those things started. Anything else, though, you pretty much got to make sure that it's going to, germinate and reach harvest before, 60, 90 days, because you're not going to get much out of it if it doesn't. I guess you could go up to about 100 days. You're not going to get much out of it if it doesn't reach maturity by that time. And even that stuff that, will handle a frost, you need to get it going before the frost hits, because you don't want to, like cabbage and brassicas, they can handle frost, but they don't grow very much once the frost hits. So you really need to get them up to size before the frost hits, or you're not going to get anything out of them either. So yeah, it's time to start thinking about the fall garden. Regenerative Life says, getting my first quail eggs tomorrow, raising soldier fly larvae, and am drying them out to store and feed later. What do you think? Sounds good. Don't make sure that's not the only thing you're feeding them. That could be a supplement to their feed, but it shouldn't be the only thing you're feeding them. They need other things in their diet as well. Soldier flies don't provide everything for them, and I'm not sure what the nutritional value is once they're dried. I'm sure it's not much different, but yeah, that's a fantastic way to supplement your feed for sure. Kim says, I found squash bugs on my cukes. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Cucumbers are a squash, or in the squash family anyway. So that makes sense to me. And I sounded kind of like I don't mean it like I'm like, yeah, you idiot, you didn't know that. I don't mean it like that at all. That makes sense to me because cucumbers are in the squash family. So it would make sense that they would, if there wasn't a squash plant, they'd go to a cucumber plant. They'll go to pumpkins. They have their favorites, it seems like. So if you have like zucchini, summer squash, that kind of stuff, they love it. They'll go to that. But if you don't, then yeah, they'd go to your cucumbers. That would make sense. But I've never seen them on like pepper plants before. That just doesn't make sense to me. Or, sweet potato vines. I don't know. Maybe it's a common thing and I just don't know. I haven't really had huge problems with squash bugs until this year. So who knows? Live Free Kiddo says, what is the best quail egg incubator? Boy, there's a ton of them to choose from. I can't tell you what the absolute best one is. It kind of depends a little bit on your price range. Let's see. MyShire Farm did a series on incubators and tested out a whole bunch of different incubators. And I'm trying to remember which ones, tested well. I use a little giant styrofoam incubator. It's fairly cheap. It works well. I get great hatch rates out of it. I've got a whole series on hatching eggs. If you follow that series, you're probably going to get really good hatch rates out of it as well. If I was going to buy another one, in that price range, styrofoam, I'd probably go with the Hovabator. The Hovabator is 1603, the one with the fan kit in it. I don't know. I can't remember the model. It's 1603 or something like that. I'd probably buy that if I was going to go for another styrofoam incubator. But then again, some of the, are they Barata? Is that the ones, the big clear ones you can see through, and they have the automatic humidity addition, all that kind of stuff. Some of those look pretty nice too. I don't know that I can tell you what the best one is. There's been a lot of new ones that have come out, and a lot of advances in incubators since I bought mine. But that says something. I mean, my little giant incubator is going on probably 9 years now, and it's still going. So it's not. I don't think you can go too wrong with it. I would go a little, try to get an egg turner if you can, because it just makes things a lot more convenient, and get one with a fan in it. It makes it a lot easier. I know somebody in here is probably going to have some. Somebody in here is probably going to have some advice on what great incubators are. I need to test some more out because, like I said, it's changed a lot in the last 10 years. Jasmine says, I noticed squash bug eggs on non-squash plants this year too. Yeah, I don't know if that's, like I said, maybe that's a common thing. It's not something I've ever dealt with before, so it seems a little odd, but hey, it happened. G. Michael says, Chris, any planted harvested garden is a great garden. Well, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It could have been better. That's for sure. I could have done things a little bit better. Got a little lazy with my tomatoes and peppers, all the stuff I started early, and didn't pay as much attention to them as I should have. They got a little stressed before they went out, but they recovered. They're doing all right. It's just so hot right now. It's hard to get anything going. It's because they got put out late, and because it got so hot. When you start getting up to 95, 100 degrees pretty consistently, you start running into problems with like blossom drop on your tomatoes and things like that, and they just never really go to fruit. But anyway, it's not a guarantee that it's going to happen, but it's much more likely that you're going to have it when those temperatures get up that hot. Live Free says, have you ever had your rabbit kids peeing red? What could this be? Have you ever had it just says, have you ever had your rabbits peeing red? What could this be? Okay, so you want the good news or the bad news? I'm just kidding. There's not really any bad news. Chances are it's nothing to worry about. It's just pigmentation in the food that they're passing, especially if you're feeding them, things that are high in, in the feed itself. It's stuff that's in the feed. So I want to say carrots and if there's, what is it, the carotene or I'd have to look up exactly what it is that's in there that causes it to turn red. But again, it's probably nothing to worry about. It's just passing the pigmentation from the food. It colors their urine red sometimes. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. As long as they're still bright-eyed, they're active, they're not just laying around lethargic, not eating or anything like that, don't worry about it. Katrina says, we have limestone grit available here, so I use that. I also have a sand bath for them, and they eat the sand as grit. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Are we talking about, I'm getting mixed up now. I can't remember if we're talking about the hens that are eating eggs or something else. But so anyway, yeah, if you're the person that has the hens that are eating eggs, then yeah, it's probably not a feed issue or a vitamin issue or anything like that. Like I said, it's probably just a habit. Probably just need to take them away. Get them. One thing I will mention though, but no, that shouldn't be it. If these are new egg layers, are you sure they're eating the eggs? Maybe it could be. Well, you said they're reaching through and getting them, so you're probably pretty sure of that. It could be, if you've got new egg layers, it's pretty common for new egg layers to lay some weird eggs, some eggs without shells on them, really thin-walled eggs that just break and leak out for whatever reason. It may not be that they're eating them. It could just be that they're young new egg layers and you're just getting some weird eggs out of them that look like they've been eaten. I don't know. That's just one thing. But Rowan says, hey guys, checking in and saying hi. Well, hello. Jammin' Mike says, hey all, just got back from changing animals water. Nice. Katrina says, let's see, is it barrage? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But anyway, it says you can feed the whole thing. Tastes like cucumbers. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, that's something I have to look into. I've never heard of before. Joy says, what about using no peck on the eggs till they stop? I'm not sure what no peck is, but sounds like it's something to. Oh, look at that. No peck chicken spray. Let's see. What is it? Anti-chicken pecking spray. You could try that. That might work. I'm not really familiar with that either. Why not try it and see? Let's see. Jared says, oh, well, Jasmine says to Kim, yes, they can eat the whole thing and they love it. Okay, there you go. Jared says, I wanted to say thank you for all the knowledge that you pass on to the community. Love your videos. I'm having trouble composting my quail manure. Pile just smells like ammonia. Oh, okay, I can help you with that one. First of all, thank you very much for the kind comments. I appreciate that. And for watching the videos, I appreciate that as well. You're okay. Quail manure aside, if your compost smells like ammonia or smells like a sewer or something like that, it's anaerobic and it needs carbon. So it takes two things for compost to really compost. You need a nitrogen source, you need a carbon source, about equal amounts of both. Now, your quail manure is primarily nitrogen, so that's your nitrogen source. That would also include things like your kitchen scraps, vegetable scraps, all that stuff's considered nitrogen. Any kind of manure is considered nitrogen. Your carbon is going to be things like wood chips, straw, dead leaves, any of those things that are brown, considered, kind of think of them as brown. You make sure that stuff's pretty ground up pretty well. You don't want to put like logs in there with that. That's not going to do well. You need to be able to mix it. So find some good carbon material. Like I said, dead leaves, mow the grass, let the grass clippings sit for a couple of days and dry out. Throw that in there with it, mix it all up really, really good, and that'll help with that. It's when you start smelling your compost machine, that means it's too much nitrogen in it, and it's anaerobic. It needs to be turned, it needs to be aerated, and you need to add carbon to it. So you can consider about half and half carbon to nitrogen. That should do a pretty good job by volume, not by weight, by volume. And that should do a pretty good job of breaking it down and getting you some good compost. Now, if you turn that stuff really frequently, like about every couple of days, just go out there and turn it, pile it from one pile into another, stir it up, it'll break down fast. A couple of weeks and you'll have finished compost. If you just pile it up and leave it there, turn it every once in a while, once every couple of months or something like that, give it about a year, 6 months or a year, and you'll get finished compost out of it. Hopefully that helps. Blessed with Pet says, my brother told me to try a chicken bite at lunch today. Turns out it was a mountain oyster, a bull testicle, and I'm scared for life. Yeah, I've never had that before. Don't know if that's something I want to eat or not. Who knows? Maybe they're good. Raphael says, so I got rabbits and jumped the gun and bred them. My doe is due on the 27th of this month. Did some research and found out it might not be a good idea to breed in the summer of Florida. Yeah, what to do? Well, there's not much you can do now. One thing I would say is just prepare for it. Summer, you can definitely breed in the summer. Lots of people do it all year long. I tend to give them a break during the summer because it is so hot, so miserable. They got big fur coats on. But what I would do is, get yourself a good nest box and make sure it's a well-ventilated nest box. Don't put a top on it. Leave it open on the top. And just put some straw in there for them to be able to burrow into. But you need the ventilation, and I like wire nest boxes because they're ventilated on the sides as well. Now, when they're first born and hairless, the first couple of days, they're going to need to burrow down into that straw. They're going to need, the fur that the mom puts on top of them. But it's after that first couple of days that they're going to need that ventilation and stuff. So that's why you put straw in it. Let the mom build a nest, but don't stuff it all the way to the top. Don't put a cover on the top. Leave the sides fairly open. That cage wire on the open gives them plenty of ventilation. That should help. That's about all you can do. You can't make her unpregnant, so there's not much else you can do. You can get some fans, put them, to circulate air around the cages. Put them out there. I get nervous using fans. The only house fire I ever had was because of a box fan. So I get nervous using fans unattended, but I think that's probably unlikely that you're going to have one catch on fire. So it should be okay. Don't put it blowing directly on the rabbit where they can't get out of it. Just put it where it blows and circulates air around in the cage. Now you're in Florida, so swamp coolers really aren't an option for you. Kind of same way with me here. The humidity's too high. It doesn't do you any good for like misters and things like that. Just don't do any good. Because it doesn't evaporate. So it doesn't work. Works great in the desert, works great in dry climates, doesn't work here, doesn't work there. So those are my suggestions on what you can do. You can put, frozen ice, take 2-liter bottles or something, fill them with water, throw them in the freezer, put those out there for the rabbits to lay on once they're frozen solid. Mine never really used that, but maybe it helps a little bit. Anyway, hang in there. Don't stress too much. I'm sure it's going to do just fine. Let's see. Katrina says, "Yep, Garlic Festival isn't going to be in Gilroy anymore. They're doing a weird concert series instead this year. Oh, that's too bad." Let's see. Nash says, "I like to hear I'm at work." So I think that means what you're listening while you're at work. Well, thank you for listening in. I appreciate it. Let's see. Bob says, "Hey, Chris, have you ever tested your garden soil? Every state has a soil testing facility that can help you know if your soil is deficient and what amendments to add, and if you need to adjust the pH." Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I agree. But I've never tested my soil. I just throw organic matter on it, mostly compost, and it's always done just fine. This year it's a little bit lackluster, but there's multiple things going against me, and one of them is I didn't add any compost this year. It's just the same ground that I grew in last year. Didn't add anything new to it. So, I mean, that has a little bit of an impact on it, but it's also the weather. The plants were stressed before I got them out. I had such a huge pest problem when I first put everything out. I had to restart. So there's multiple things going against me this year, but you're right. There's nothing wrong with getting a good soil test so you know for sure what you need to do. Let's see. Sam says, "Do you know of anything? Do you know of anyone within a few hours of Joplin teaching hands-on classes about things like raising and processing quail?" Well, hands-on, I don't know. I've never teaching hands-on classes about things like raising quail and processing quail. Interesting. Now, I've never thought about actually doing a hands-on class. I don't know if there'd be enough interest in it, enough people wanting to get together to process some quail or whatever. But no, I don't know of anybody doing that. I don't know. Maybe we should get together and do it. Put on a class somewhere. We can, I don't know. Maybe we should do our own little convention, Southwest Missouri convention or something. Get a bunch of people together and talk about raising quail. Now, of course, there is QuailCon coming up. So if you don't have tickets to QuailCon, that's going to be, it's not within a few hours of Joplin. It's a little bit further away. It's in Ohio. But, it's coming up in late September or early September, 3rd, 4th, and 5th at Myshire Farm. There will be a demonstration. There'll be lots of talks on raising quail. There'll be a demonstration on processing, hands-on. They'll get you in there and actually let you process some quail. It's a 2-day event. It's going to be a good time. Lots of people getting together and meet new friends, all that good stuff. That's going on. So that could be a place you might be interested in going. It's not that far, about a 10-hour drive from here. Let's see. Whiskey Tango Farm says 7:15. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Did somebody ask you a question? Or you responded to it, or you just throw out a random date for no reason? Oh, that's probably the answer to where the photos are due by the 15th. Oh, I need to get on it then. I need to look back at that. Sorry. Jasmine hasn't done hers either yet. So, let's see. Scrap 5,000. There was like rules around it this year. I got to look at them and see what the options are again. I forgot. Scrap 5,000 says, "Have you considered raising other birds such as chukar or pheasants? Permits are often available or often needed in every state, but usually are not that expensive." No, I haven't really considered any kind of other birds. Maybe, chickens. I raise some chickens every once in a while, but not really. I mean, pheasants and that's not something that really interests me. They just don't produce high enough numbers to make it worth it, in my opinion. I did consider getting some homing pigeons because I just think they're awful cool. Take your birds and let them go and they fly back home. I think that'd be cool. But I still haven't done that. Who knows? I may still do that at some point. Andy says, "I'll message you on Facebook about silver foxes." Okay. Well, here's the problem. I don't really respond to Facebook messages because I get so many of them. I just can't keep up with it. So I don't even notice them really. Email me if you want to. You can email me, chris@slightlyrednecked.com. That's usually a little bit better place to get a hold of me. I appreciate it. And I don't mean to ignore people. It's just I can't keep up. I just can't do it. I've got too much going on and can't do it. So let's see. Verna says, "My white and sweet potatoes are going great." Well, awesome. Sweet potatoes seem to be doing really well. And I mean, I don't know what's growing under the ground right now, but the vines are going crazy. Let's see. Matt's Vlog says, "My quail just laid their first egg." Well, congratulations there. You got a whole lot more coming. Jennifer says, "What do I start feeding my quail laying feed? When do I start feeding my quail laying feed? I love watching all your videos. I've learned a lot. Thanks for all you do." Well, I don't ever switch over to layer feed. I just feed them all game bird starter. that's what I feed my birds, all of them, their entire lives. But if you want to switch over to a layer feed, I think the best time to do that's probably going to be somewhere around 8 weeks old. Just maybe kind of mix half and half with their regular feed for a week, and then switch them completely over to the layer feed. And they should do fine with that. Chad says, have you ever given your quail mealworms as a treat? How much would you recommend giving them? I have given them some mealworms and things like that. You can actually, that could be a fairly high percentage of their diet if you want to. I don't know if there's an exact number about like how much you should give them. You just don't want it to be where that's the only thing they're eating. They need other things in their diet as well. So yeah, I don't know that. Don't worry about it. Jennifer says, part of your garden is great and the parts are sad, or part of our garden is great and other parts are sad. Dear A, all my sweet peas, but have already put up some tomatoes and pickles. Well, nice. I'm just starting to get cucumbers about that long, and I love, cucumbers about that long are the perfect pickle in my opinion. So I'm waiting for them to get that size and hopefully get enough together I can pickle them. Hopefully it's not just one or two at a time that get there. Hopefully I get a bunch of them at the same time. Tomatoes, it's going to be a little while. We've got a bunch of paste tomatoes on that are green that are waiting to ripen up, but the beefsteaks are slow to start producing. And I think I got gypped. I bought a couple of tomatoes to put in the garden to fill in some spaces where I didn't, a couple of my stress plants didn't really make it well enough. So I bought some tomatoes to put in there. I bought San Marzano paste tomatoes, and one of them looks like it's a cherry tomato. I think it is a cherry tomato, but we'll see. But yeah, parts of my garden doing pretty well. Parts of it, it's okay. It's not great. It's not terrible. I'm going to get some harvest out of it, but it's not the best garden I've ever grown. Jasmine says, don't forget to give Chris a thumbs up. Well, thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate that. Jupiter, good to see you. Jupiter says, hey, Chris, I hope you're doing well. I'm still waiting for my mortgage lifters to ripen. I keep thinking any day now or so. They're so green. Yeah, it's that waiting for that first tomato is the worst. I know. Mortgage lifters are one of my favorites. I love mortgage lifter reds. So hang in there. They'll be soon. How are we doing on time? I feel like I've been talking for a while. Oh, look at that. We got 20 minutes left. I have been talking for a while. Regenerative Life says, I built my first quail hutch out of a cut in half IBC tote, put hardware cloth on the bottom, and made a lid out of plast mesh, light cover, and PVC. Cool. All right, nice. The only thing I'd worry about with that is it seems like it might get awful hot in there. But maybe not. If you've got it in a decent place that, not direct sun or anything like that, probably okay. Brandon says the Hovabator Genesis 1588 is pretty decent. That may be the one I was thinking about. And Kim says, I have a Hovabator Genesis and it works great. There you go. Verna says, yeah, but my heater went out. Talking to Brandon. Did you contact the company if your heater went out? Because I had that happen with my Little Giant. The thermostat went out. It cooked a batch of eggs and got super hot. I didn't actually cook them. It just got super hot and killed them. And I contacted the company, and Miller Manufacturing, who makes Little Giant. I contacted them, and they didn't ask me like, when did you buy it, proof of purchase, none of that. They just sent me a brand new thermostat in the mail. It was like 2 or 3 days. I got it, slapped it in, good as new. So you might try calling them if you haven't. Jasmine says the Brisney is one of the Living Traditions uses. Yep, I started with Little Giant incubators, then I made one out of an old pop cooler. I call it the Frigibator, I guess is what you say. Yeah, that's a good name for it. Psycho Ward, hello to you. Says hello to all from Vegas. Witch Doctor, hey guys, just got done with work. Just saying hi. Well, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Katrina says, no tomatoes here in California yet. Thanks to the super hot start on the summer, they drop flowers when it gets hot. Same thing happened last year. Yeah, I know what you mean. I usually don't have problems with them dropping flowers, but a little bit, if it gets hot too early, it can happen. Katrina says limestone grit for grit and calcium will also make the eggshells thicker. Yeah, if you get, like I said, a lot of calcium in there, yes, definitely will make the eggshells thicker. Verna's got some eggs going into lockdown tomorrow. Good luck with your hatch, Verna. I hope it goes well. Honeybee Rabbitry says, hey, Chris, I usually miss these and watch them a day or two later, but I wanted to thank you for all you do. I came for the rabbits and stayed for the quail. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And thanks for coming into the live broadcast and letting us know. All right. Okay, so Burridge, it says pronounced like courage, which is also in its mythology. I'll have to check it out. Paper and cardboard are browns for compost too. Yeah, good point. You're right. Paper and cardboard. Don't use like shiny magazine stuff, but regular newspaper would work just fine. Just shred it up a little bit. Cardboard, that works great. Shred it up a little bit so it's not just a sheet of cardboard with a bunch of quail manure on top of it. That's not going to work too well. But shred it up and mix it in, that will work out pretty well too. That's a good point. You can, in fact, you can compost just about anything that's organic. But those are good sources of browns because you can usually get those cheap or free. Psycho Ward says, I was just wondering if you think that's a genetic thing to have prolapse in the females. I don't know that it's genetic or not. I haven't researched it enough, and I've never really had the issue. So I would say that if you have a pretty regular issue with prolapse, then yeah, it's probably a genetic thing, and you may want to call those out and get that out of your bloodline so you don't have to pass that on. But I don't know. That's an interesting thought. I do think that, like in rabbits, for example, sore hocks is more of a genetic issue. Some rabbits are just more prone to it genetically than other rabbits are. So, it very well could be that prolapse is the same thing. It's not been an issue that I've had to deal with, so I can't really say for sure. Yeah, Verna says it can be, but haven't had that problem myself. Yeah, I haven't either. You got some going into lockdown tomorrow too, Psycho Ward. Well, good luck with your hatch. I hope it goes well. Verna says, I just hope to have some success with all the problems I had this time. First time I have really had any problems. It happens every once in a while. I think, it happens with me every once in a while. I get to a point where, I've been incubating, I know what I'm doing, and I just kind of get lazy with it, or just, I don't know, just get overly confident probably, and then have a bad hatch. It's kind of a way I think to just, keeps me humble, I guess. Yeah, there you go. Solar powered fans, Verna. That's a good idea. It says you can get solar powered fans that attach to the side of the cage. It's a great idea. Lisa says, Raphael, I did that boo-boo and have one due on the 21st here in Jamaica. I started freezing water bottles. There you go. Blessed with Pets says, I lost 70% of my rabbits due to the heat. I'm looking for homes for the last 3, and I'm keeping one in my room. If I ever breed in the future, I'll make sure it is in some type of air-conditioned shed. Yeah, if you have that option, for sure. Psycho Ward says, this summer was my first time the heat was a problem. Yeah, I could see how it could be. Let's see. Katrina says, I use solar-powered fans for my animals. I have a video that shows how to set them up on my YouTube channel, Sow and Tear. And I also get my rabbits frozen water bottles and it gets hot. Yeah, good ideas. Okay. Yeah, check out that video. Then there's a way to get some solar-powered fans. I didn't even think about solar-powered fans. Why not? Great idea. Verna says, Chris, Hidden Heights Farm put quail tray droppings on their garden 3 months before planting. Okay. Yeah, you can do that. They're awful high in nitrogen, so it's really best to compost them or let them break down before you put them on your garden. But depending on how much you put on your garden, it's in 3 months before, that's probably fine. It's not really that big of a deal. Psycho Ward says, I lost 15 birds because of the sun out here in Vegas. It's a different heat this year than I've ever seen in the USA. Really? It's, the last couple of years weren't really that hot here. I mean, they're hot. I mean, it's summertime. It's hot. But not really that hot. I think we've just been kind of spoiled. And, Jasmine talking about it getting hot. It's strange for it to be hot this early in July. I think we're just spoiled from the last, about 5 years, 5 or 6 years. It really hasn't gotten that hot in the summertime. But before, I can remember times where we were, easily by July 4th, 105, 100, like real temperature, not the heat index, but the real temperature. So I don't know. It doesn't feel significantly different to me. I mean, it was tough when it first hit because it went from pretty cool to scorching hot, like in a couple of days. So that's always tough, but now I'm kind of acclimated to it. So it's not that bad, really. Get kind of used to it. Sam says, if you put on a class about quail, I'll be there. YouTube University is cool and all, but I really enjoy learning hands-on with other people who care about the work they're doing. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. I don't know. We'll see what I can do. Jessie got her calendar photos submitted yesterday. You are doing better than me. I need to get on it. I'm sorry. I'm going to skip some comments where you guys are talking to each other because we're getting close on time. Only 10 minutes left. Larson says you could always search for rabbits in different states that is in your path on the way to QuailCon and pick them up on the way. Yeah, I've already thought about that. I'm going to start doing some research, but that's still a couple of months away. So who knows? Hello to you, Sharon. Good to see you. Hey, Ed. Good to see you, Ed. Yeah, I understand that, Verna, being too busy to call. Yeah, I get it. And Sharon just had 6 quail eggs hatched, 6 of your own quail eggs hatched. Congratulations. Psycho Ward says, you're the reason that we're able to get the new parts for our little giant. You're the reason that we were able to get, because you heard me talk about that and then you called them, I'm guessing, and got replacement parts for them. Well, good. I'm glad that worked. Raphael says, from a hen, that would be insane. I've been trying that for years. What? I lost track. That's probably one of those conversations you guys were having with yourselves. Western Heights Homestead says, this is Roger with Western Heights. I just added quail rails. Now I need 120 eggs. Yeah, quail rails are the way to go. I mean, you can use the chicken rails that come with it, but you can get so many more eggs in there with quail rails. Quail rails. That's kind of hard to say. Raphael says, I'm a manager of Tractor Supply, and most of my experience came from learning from Chris. Well, thank you. Awesome. I don't know if I want to be a manager at Tractor Supply or not. I mean, it's probably not a bad job. I don't know if it's a job that I would really enjoy that much, but at the same time, there's probably some perks and benefits to it too. Sharon says, incubator, I may have one hen that I may let try. What? Oh, I think that's in response. You're 6 of your own eggs hatch. Oh, did you use an incubator, your quail? Okay, I'm with you now. I get it. Jennifer says, question, when do you start feeding quail laying feed? I think I already answered that one. If I didn't, let me know again. I'm way behind. It's taken me a while to get through. We got a lot of comments coming in tonight, which is good because it keeps me talking. But so yeah, I think I already got that one answered. If you didn't hear it, ask me again, and I'm scrolling back to see if it was you that asked it before. I don't remember now. But anyway, again, if I didn't answer it, just ask it again. I'll make sure I answer it before. I'll scroll down and look before I close out the video. Make sure I get it answered if I didn't. Regenerative Life says, I have a 25-pound bag of bird feed for finches, cardinals, etc. Can I feed this to my quail also? You can try. Yeah, you can feed it to them, but again, it's not a good balanced diet for them. They need other stuff. So, mix it in with the regular food. Just stretch your food out a little bit with it. That'll be a better way to do it probably. Mike says, hope everyone's having a great night. Thanks for all the great info from Big Mike and the family from Pennsylvania, formerly Long Island. Yeah, I'm expecting you to say Long Island, but good to see you. Glad everything worked out, I think, with your move probably. And thanks for coming in and joining us. Jupiter is talking to Verna, wants to know if she's going to be at QuailCon. She will be. Yeah, she's going to be a speaker there. Verna says, Chris, with me, it has been incubator problems. Yeah, I know how that goes. It does happen. S. McKee says, called the hen that attacked the rooster and scalped him. She was bigger than the 8-week-old ones I've usually butchered. Way bigger than the 8-year. Yeah, sometimes the bigger birds that comes with aggression too. But yeah, good. I'm glad you got that taken care of. All right. I'm skipping through the ones where you guys are talking to each other. Maximus says, do older quails lay bad eggs, like more brittle or weird looking ones? Sometimes, like extremely old birds, and it hasn't really been my experience. You usually get that with young birds when they first start laying. And then just occasionally off and on at random weird times, it's just, or like when birds stop laying and, for the season, or they're molting or something like that, when they first start back up, you get some of those weird eggs at that times too. Hasn't really been my experience with birds that are older laying. They may slow down a little bit on their egg production, but not laying weird eggs. I haven't really noticed an increase in that from older birds. Capelot says, rabbit update. Well, I don't have any rabbits right now. I'm still looking for some and working on getting them. Regenerative Life says, I have micro solar powered fans on my new quail hutches, and they are also both under my back covered patio with screen top. Oh, excuse me. Oh, caught me off guard. I had you on there. I must have talked too much and ran out of air or something. So they're on their they're both under your back covered patio with screen top and a bottom also. Awesome. This sounds like a nice setup. Mike says, when you raise chickens in a chicken tractor, what do you do with them in the winter when there's snow on the ground for sometimes a month or 6 weeks at a time? We're in Western Pennsylvania. Good question. I haven't actually raised chickens like that. I always do meat chickens, and they're only around for 8 weeks, and it's in the summertime, the spring. So it's never been an issue. I've never had them in a tractor in the wintertime. I would think they would do fine as long as you can give them, plenty of, shelter from the wind, rain, that kind of stuff. As long as they have plenty of shelter inside the tractor itself, I think they do fine. But I don't know. I'll let somebody with more experience on that maybe speak to it a little bit better. All right, let me scroll down and make sure I don't see another question coming up about layer feed. So I guess I got that one answered. S. McKee says, it was real hot in the church picnic on the 4th. It was at least 60 degrees with a high wind and rain. The hot part is wishful thinking. 60 degrees. Yeah. Oh, that would have been nice. No, 4th of July was about 99, 98 degrees, something like that. Yeah, there we go, Brandon. If it still need rabbits by the time quail call comes, you'll bring me a breeding set. Well, that'd be awesome. May take you up on that. We'll see. Let's see. Whiskey Tango Farms says, oh, the same thing, I think. Yep, we might do it. Nicholas, hatching my first batch of eggs. I collected myself 5 of 13 hatched so far, even though I forgot to rotate in fudge prior to incubator. What? I don't know what you're saying. But thanks for all the info. Hey, that's not bad. You got 5 out of 13 so far. Oh, in the fridge. Forgot to rotate them in the fridge prior to incubating. Yeah, 5 out of 13, that's not bad. You still got some time left, and you could still very easily get some more hatching out of that. So congratulations. Well done. Psycho Ward says, we have what they calling a flash heat wave. It was 111 degrees that day. Oh, good grief. That is warm. Well, Chris, this is because you have 67 people in here. Oh, what's because I have 67 people in here? Because what, talking too much? Probably. All right, where are we doing on time? Ooh, 3 minutes left. See what I can get through in 3 minutes. Take a drink real quick so I can get going. All right, Raphael says, I get massive discounts on feed at Tractor Supply and sometimes free feed when bags are ripped and stuff, and also building materials for my homestead. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Let's see. Psycho Ward says, Raphael, okay, that's somebody talking to somebody else. Whiskey Tango Farms, we even have chocolate and chocolate carrying silver fox. Well, there you go. That sounds like a good rabbit. Katrina says, I had one that over time her eggs get more and more dark brown on it, and also those areas were more porous and didn't last long on the counter before dehydrating. She was processed this weekend. Interesting. I'll keep an eye on that and see what I find out. But no, that's never been something I've really noticed, but who knows? Alicia says, just got quail a month ago, and our first litter of growing rabbits will be processed next month. Recently found a local raw dog food manufacturer to sell to. Wish us luck. Well, yeah, absolutely. Good luck. Sounds like you got things set up there. So good luck with it. I hope it works out well. Lexington Felix says, my incubator temp goes from 80 degrees to 120 degrees. Any ideas? Dial is super touchy. Feely. Any ideas? I made a fan, but it just made it hotter. Oh, I wish I did know. I'd have to play with it myself. I haven't actually done that. So I know they can be a little bit tricky to dial in. You might watch, I think My Shire Farm did a video on the hoverbators with the wafer style thermometers and was talking about how to tune those in. So you might check that out. That may give you the hints. I don't have one, so I can't really give you really that much advice on it, unfortunately. But I think it is, when I've heard about them, is it is a matter of just getting them dialed in. It's a little tricky to get them dialed in, but once you do, they're set and they're just fantastic. That's what I hear. Raphael says, my rabbit has one ear that's not straight up. Should I be worried? You mean it's like cockeyed? Probably. It's usually heat related stuff. Yep, there we go. We got other people saying the same thing about, yep, the product review series on My Shire Farms. Go check it out. I think he can probably get that one covered for you. So anyway, yeah, usually a rabbit ear that's kind of crooked or, you know, droops down or whatever is usually heat related. Because of the heat, it's nothing to worry about. It's just the way it is. And it may straighten up eventually. It may not, but it's nothing to worry about. It's perfectly common. All right. I think that's about it. I think we're going to wrap this one up. So where are we at here? Timmy wants to know what I know about the Tibetan quail. Well, they're just like any other quail, just a different color phase of them, really. If you like them, nothing wrong with them at all. You're going to get good egg laying rates out of them. They're not usually as big as the other, like your jumbos and all that kind of stuff, but they're perfectly good quail. If that's what you like, go for it. All right, I got to wrap this one up. It's right at time. So thanks for joining me tonight, guys. I always appreciate it. Always have a good time hanging out with you for about an hour on Thursday evening. And I guess we'll talk to you guys next week. I don't see any reason why I won't be here. So until then, take care. And as always, God bless. We'll see you guys next week.